Beloved TV actor and director Tony Dow died today. He was best known for playing the older brother Wally Cleaver in the iconic series Leave It to Beaver.
It's easy for you, but well, Mom's not your mother. Well, here it is. He saw me dancing with you while he blabbered to all the other guys.
Tony Dow, best known as the wholesome older brother Wally Cleaver on the classic TV show Leave It to Beaver, was introduced to audiences through this beloved sitcom. One of the most popular characters from the series, Tony Dow's career as an actor didn't shine as brightly outside of it. Did you know that Tony Dow never dreamt of becoming an actor? And why was there a fake post about his death? His passing in 2022 left a void not only in Hollywood but in the hearts of millions who grew up watching him. But behind the quiet mourning and public tributes, one voice remained silent, his devoted wife, Lauren Shulin. Now, after years of grief and reflection, she is finally ready to speak. What she reveals is deeply personal, raw, and heartbreakingly honest. This isn't just a lost story. It's a window into love, pain, and the hidden struggles they faced in Tony's final days. But before we begin, if you're a fan of Tony Dow or love old Western movies, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We share amazing stories about Western stars and classic Hollywood icons. Tony Dow was born on April 13, 1945, in Hollywood, California. Growing up in the heart of the entertainment world, Tony's early life was quietly influenced by show business, though he had no initial ambitions to become an actor. His mother, Muriel Virginia Montrose, had once been a stuntwoman and a film actress during the silent era, while his father, John Dow, was a general contractor and designer. With one parent connected to the movie industry and the other grounded in everyday work, Tony's upbringing was a blend of Hollywood charm and modest discipline. Unlike many young actors who chased stardom from a young age, Tony was more interested in athletics, especially swimming and diving. He trained seriously in competitive diving and even went on to win a Junior Olympics championship. His physical discipline and calm demeanor helped shape his character during his formative years. In fact, it was because of a chance event, not any long-term pursuit of fame, that he found himself in front of the camera. Tony had accompanied a friend to a casting call for a new television show in 1957. That show turned out to be Leave It to Beaver, and despite having no prior acting experience, the producers were impressed by his natural charm and sincerity. He landed the role of Wally Cleaver at the age of 12. Once cast, Tony's life changed rapidly. He was suddenly balancing school, filming schedules, and a level of fame that could be overwhelming for any child. But unlike many others, Tony remained grounded. His early exposure to both the discipline of sports and the quiet strength of his parents helped him navigate fame with a mature outlook well beyond his years. His performance as Wally was not just acting, it was an extension of the real Tony, kind, responsible, and relatable. His early life set the foundation for a long, multifaceted career, and the world would always remember him as the boy next door who embodied the ideal big brother during television's golden age. After Leave It to Beaver ended in 1963, Tony Dow found himself facing a tough truth about the entertainment industry. Starring in one of the most beloved shows of the decade didn't guarantee lasting fame. For 6 years, Tony had played Wally Cleaver, the ideal big brother, and a symbol of 1950's American boyhood. The show had become a cultural icon, portraying a simpler time, and families across the country welcomed the Cleavers into their living rooms each week. But once it wrapped, Tony, like many child stars, struggled to find his place in a changing Hollywood. Throughout the late 1960s and into the 70s, Tony picked up guest roles on several TV shows, including Adam 12, Love, American Style, The Mod Squad, The Hardy Boys, Emergency, Knight Rider, and Square Pegs. These roles were usually small, but they kept him in the game and showed his range outside of the clean-cut Wally persona. During this time, the Vietnam War was at its peak, and Tony served in the California Army National Guard from 1965 to 1968. He was stationed in the Special Services Division and worked as a photographer for the 40th Armored Division. Even while serving, his creativity remained close at hand. In the 1970s, Dow was trying to rediscover himself. He dabbled in many fields, continuing to act while also studying journalism and filmmaking. To support himself, he even worked in construction. But the shadow of Wally Cleaver never completely faded. He poked fun at it with a parody appearance in 1977's The Kentucky Fried Movie, a cult comedy film filled with over-the-top sketches. In the 1970s, Dow was trying to rediscover himself. He dabbled in many fields, continuing to act while also studying journalism and filmmaking. To support himself, he even worked in construction, but the shadow of Wally Cleaver never completely faded. He poked fun at it with a parody appearance in 1977's The Kentucky Fried Movie, a cult comedy film filled with over-the-top sketches. Then came the revival years. He returned to his roots with the new Leave It to Beaver in the 1980s, stepping back into the role that made him famous. Only this time, Wally was all grown up and had a family of his own. Tony not only acted in the series but also directed 5 episodes and wrote one, proving his talent behind the scenes. Though critics weren't always kind to the reboot, Tony passionately defended the show. In an interview with the Houston Chronicle, he explained that the updated storylines, though still family-oriented, were more honest about real-life issues. He believed these episodes portrayed the true essence of growing up and were more relevant than the violence and drama-heavy shows of the time. Beyond Beaver, Tony began working steadily behind the camera, expanding his career as a director and producer. He directed episodes of popular shows like Harry and the Hendersons, Coach, Babylon 5, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show. He also got involved with developing and supporting projects tied to the early days of television, such as General Hospital, Mr. Novak, Never Too Young, Lassie in Love, American Style. He even took to the stage, working with his Leave It to Beaver co-star, Jerry Mathers, in the 1978 production of Boeing Boeing. For Tony Dow, the post-Beaver years were about evolution. Though he would always be remembered as Wally Cleaver, he built a quiet but meaningful legacy as an actor, director, and creative mind who never gave up on storytelling, even when the spotlight faded. As the spotlight on Tony Dow began to dim, life behind the scenes took a much more personal turn. In his 20s, despite his calm demeanor and clean-cut public image, Tony started battling something he never expected: depression. It wasn't easy for someone who had once been the face of the ideal American teenager to admit he was struggling, but Tony didn't hide it. Instead, he chose to speak out. He created a self-help video titled Beating the Blues, aiming to reach others quietly fighting the same inner battles. In the video, he shared a powerful message. If Wally Cleaver can be depressed, anyone can be. With that honesty, he permitted people everywhere to confront their own mental health without shame. As the years went on, Tony also began facing physical health issues, yet he continued working, acting, directing, and creating for nearly 2 more decades. Eventually, in his 40s, he decided to step away from the spotlight for good. It wasn't a dramatic exit, but a quiet retreat to focus on what truly mattered to him. Despite the immense cultural legacy of Leave It to Beaver, it never made Tony Dow rich. Like many actors from that era, he received only 4 years of residual payments from the series. So while his face remained familiar to generations of fans, financial stability had to come from elsewhere. That's when Tony found a new form of expression: sculpting. He became deeply passionate about working with bronze, pouring his emotions into the art. His sculptures are powerful, reflective, and full of quiet intensity. Through his website, Tony Dow Sculpture, fans could see a different side of the former actor, an artist with depth and vision. His work was even showcased internationally. In December 2008, Tony was invited to exhibit at the Carrousel du Louvre in Paris, a rare honor. One of his most admired pieces, Unarmed Warrior, still stands there today, a symbol of quiet strength from a man who had faced his own battles and turned them into beauty. Tony Dow's later years were not about fame or fortune. They were about healing, expression, and helping others find the light in their own darkness. Tony Dow's personal life was filled with love, family, and quiet devotion, far from the glare of Hollywood. His first marriage was to Carol Marie Theresa Marlowe in 1969. Together, they welcomed their only son, Christopher, in 1973. Though the marriage ended in 1980, Tony remained a devoted father, always keeping family close to his heart. That same year, Tony found love again, this time with Lauren Shulin, a mosaic artist from New York. They met in the 1970s when she played a role in helping him land a McDonald's commercial. Despite his fame, Lauren was touched by how humble and grounded Tony was. She once remarked how surprised she was that someone as famous as Tony thought she was cool enough for him. That humility is what won her over. They married on June 16, 1980, and Lauren warmly welcomed Christopher into their family. In a special moment, Christopher even appeared in the new Leave It to Beaver, playing a younger version of Wally Cleaver in 2 episodes. But acting wasn't for him. He chose a private life far from the spotlight. Tony later embraced the joy of becoming a grandfather. He often shared heartfelt moments on social media, including photos with his granddaughter Tyla and his son celebrating the gift of family. One caption simply read, "Happiness is grandkids." But joy and sorrow often walk hand in hand. In 2022, after 42 years of marriage, Lauren posted a touching message asking fans to keep Tony in their thoughts. He had been diagnosed with cancer for the second time and was beginning immunotherapy. Even during these challenging times, Tony's strength and the support of his family remained his greatest comfort. On July 26, 2022, fans around the world were stunned when Tony Dow's official Facebook page announced his passing. The post included a heartfelt obituary describing him as a gentle soul whose warmth and kindness touched everyone he met. Tributes began pouring in until the truth came to light. Tony wasn't gone. In a surprising twist, his manager clarified that the announcement had been made in error. It was later revealed that Tony's wife, Lauren, had mistakenly shared the news, believing the end was near. His son, Christopher, and daughter-in-law, Melissa, quickly stepped in to confirm that Tony was still alive, though gravely ill. Tony had been battling liver cancer, diagnosed just 2 months earlier in May, and was receiving hospice care. He had been in and out of the hospital, and the emotional toll had understandably overwhelmed those closest to him. Lauren publicly apologized for the confusion and expressed her deep love and commitment to Tony, standing by him through his final chapter. In the final years of his life, Tony Dow remained a quiet but meaningful presence, occasionally appearing in interviews and fan conventions where he reflected on his long journey in and out of Hollywood. He often spoke about the impact of Leave It to Beaver, not just on his career, but on generations of viewers who saw themselves in the show's simple but heartfelt stories. In one of his last public statements, Tony shared how grateful he was for the love he continued to receive from fans, even decades after the show had ended. He talked about aging, legacy, and how he found peace through art, family, and staying grounded. Though visibly weaker due to his illness, his words carried warmth and quiet wisdom, offering a final glimpse of the humble man behind the iconic character. His reflections served as a reminder that true success isn't just about fame, but about the way you touch others, even in life's final chapters. Tony reminded us that it's never too late to evolve, to heal, and to leave something meaningful behind, not just in television history, but in the hearts of those who quietly listen. Tony Dow, the actor who brought Wally Cleaver to life and remained a beloved figure for generations, passed away on July 27, 2022, at the age of 77. His death came just one day after a premature announcement had mistakenly spread across social media, causing confusion and heartbreak among fans. This time, however, the news was real, and it was confirmed by his son, Christopher, who had stood by his father's side throughout his long, difficult battle with cancer. Tony had been diagnosed with liver cancer in May 2022 and spent his final weeks in hospice care, surrounded by those who loved him most. His family remained close during those painful days, offering comfort, support, and unwavering love as he slipped away peacefully. In the wake of his passing, messages of remembrance poured in not just from family, but from fans and friends across the world. His wife of 45 years, Lauren Shulin, was heartbroken. She described Tony as the love of her life, calling their decades together a fairy tale that only grew stronger with time. A year later, she shared another message with fans, reflecting on how she had managed to keep going without him and remembering his kindness, humor, and creative spirit. For Lauren, Tony was more than a husband. He was her lifelong companion and her greatest source of joy. Christopher Dow honored his father with heartfelt words, calling him the best dad anyone could ask for. To him, Tony wasn't just a parent. He was a mentor, a coach, a voice of reason, a best friend, and a personal hero. His death left a void that could never be filled, but his legacy remained alive in the hearts of those he touched. Tributes also came from Tony's longtime co-star and friend Jerry Mathers, who played the iconic role of Beaver Cleaver. Jerry expressed deep sorrow at the loss of a man he had known for 65 years. He said he would miss Tony terribly and cherish the bond they had built from childhood into old age. Fans echoed the sentiment. One wrote that few actors were as universally loved as Tony Dow, and that alone said everything about the kind of man he was. Tony Dow may have played the perfect big brother on television, but in real life he was even more gentle, kind, and quietly extraordinary. His loss was deeply felt, but his memory lives on through the stories, smiles, and warmth he left behind.